Hi guys, and today I'm doing a demo and the first impression of this Dermacol Makeup Cover Foundation, which is meant to be the fullest coverage foundation ever. This foundation is meant to have like the extreme full coverage, and basically I bought this a few months back. I was planning to make a review about this for quite some time. I haven't used it yet, but then because of uni I never got around to do that video and I sort of forgot about this. But then recently Jeffree Star posted a review about this foundation, and then I remembered I actually had it and I was meant to make a video about it. And I still thought it would be a good idea to test this product out on my skin because I have quite a lot of skin discolorations. I have freckles, quite bad dark under eye circles, and also some discoloration. So I typically love full coverage foundations. I wear Revlon Color Stay foundation on pretty much daily basis. So it will be interesting to see if this can cover all of my skin issues, or whether it's not actually as full of a coverage as it claims. And also quite a lot of people in their reviews said that this foundation is very drying and mattifying, and my skin is really dry. So it makes me kind of worried about putting this on my face because perhaps this can be really drying and cakey. But at the same time, I think it's interesting to see whether somebody with a dry skin can actually pull this off and wear this. I'm going to basically apply this, show you how it looks like once applied, and then wait a few hours and then update you on how I feel about this foundation at the end. So if you want to see that, then keep on watching. So this is how it looks like, and when I first looked it up online, I thought it was a really sort of high-end foundation because to me it looks really high-end. It comes in a squeezy tube. It looks like this. It's like all sparkly gold squeezy tube. You have 30 grams of product, which is kind of a standard quantity for a foundation. And yeah, it looks really quite nice and high-end, but I think you can get it for quite a decent price online on Amazon and eBay. For the purpose of this review, I'm going to use a beauty blender on one side of my face and brush on the other side of my face, even though I think it will work definitely better with a beauty blender. With a brush it can perhaps look a bit streaky, but we'll see. We'll test it out both ways and see whichever one works best. And as you can see, it is still sealed. I haven't used it yet, I haven't opened it yet, and thankfully it's sealed. So just gonna use the top of this lid to open this up. And yeah, so now it's opened, and let's just put some on my face. I'm just gonna dot some foundation on my face. It seems really thick, like in this tube. It seems more like a concealer definitely than a foundation, but yeah, really thick. It seems to match me quite nicely. I didn't mention I bought this in the shade 210. And it seems to be pretty good match. It seems quite creamy now. I'm trying to apply this on my face, so I'm not as worried about it now. I just hope it won't be too drying because my skin is really dry. It actually looks beautiful. It's blending out really nicely. It doesn't emphasize any of my texture really. With this beauty blender it actually looks beautiful, and the coverage is so on point. Obviously I need to wear this for a few hours to really see how this foundation wears and whether it doesn't get cakey or dry or horrible throughout the day. But so far I'm just so impressed, and the coverage is amazing. It's insane, especially with a beauty blender, because my favorite foundation is Revlon Color Stay, and that foundation works great with a brush, but with a beauty blender I only use it when I want like a medium coverage, not super full coverage, because beauty blender can sometimes take the coverage of that foundation. But this one works amazing with a beauty blender. But now let's try brush and see whether it looks streaky or more cakey or perhaps more dry with a brush. Based on like other people's reviews, I didn't expect it to be as creamy. I thought it would be a lot more drying, but so far for me it doesn't seem drying. I'm very surprised about that because my skin is so dry, but we'll see. We lose ourselves in the spirit of things.
lose our sight when we put our trust in things of this material world, of things that fade away.
It actually applied beautifully again. It doesn't look streaky at all. It was so easy to blend with a brush. Sometimes with other foundations, I have a lot more problems blending them out with a brush. Sometimes they just end up looking so streaky, but this took like less than a minute to blend and it's not streaky at all. It does emphasize a little bit more pores and texture using the brush as opposed to the beauty blender, but that's the case with pretty much all of my foundations. All of my foundations emphasize like pores on my nose, especially in some way. Like if I don't put my Bye Bye Pores by IT Cosmetics on top of my foundation, most of the time you will be able to see my pores on my nose, but with a beauty blender you can't see them as much as with a brush. But other from that, I'm just so impressed. I expected it to look a lot heavier than it actually does. It doesn't look heavy at all. It feels kind of heavy, but at the same time it's nothing that would really bother me, and doesn't feel drying. But I'm going to put a full face of makeup on and then go about my day and update you guys how I feel about this foundation afterwards. And yeah, you definitely don't need a concealer with this foundation either. Just amazing. Okay, so it's been a few hours and as you can see I have a full face of makeup on, and now I can kind of give you my final thoughts, at least for now. I mean, these could change obviously as I start to wear this foundation more and more, but these are sort of my initial thoughts. I'm going to give you a few cons first, because so far I've been saying so many good things about this foundation, and as of right now I think I found a few cons to this. I mean, first of all, I feel like you definitely have to set this foundation with powder. Now, some of you may think that you have to set your foundation with powder anyway, and perhaps some of you may be annoyed at me for not setting my face with powder. However, whenever I wear my Revlon Color Stay foundation, so pretty much the only foundation that I really ever wear nowadays, I pretty much never set my foundation with powder because my skin is so dry, and with that foundation I don't need to set it. That's why, in order to compare it, honestly, I didn't want to set my face today. However, this foundation is a lot more tacky. I'm surprised because the amount of people said this foundation is matte and drying. I was like really skeptical, and especially because of that I didn't want to set it. But on my face it looks dewy right now and so tacky that I'm really confused, because it doesn't seem like that matte drying foundation that everyone has been on about. It looks quite dewy on my skin, honestly. It looks more dewy than my Revlon Color Stay, and I use the one for combination to oily skin type just because I don't want to set it. If I would touch my face right now, a lot of foundation would come off. That's not the case with Revlon Color Stay. It sets a lot nicer, whereas this one kind of sits on top of my skin, and definitely if I would touch it, a bit of foundation would come off on my fingers, on my clothes. So it is foundation that you need to set, and also it definitely creases a lot more in the smile lines and underneath my eyes. I have to set it also because it creases quite a lot more. I can't see any creases on my forehead, but I usually never get many creases on my forehead anyway. It's just my smile lines and my under eyes, definitely more creases than usual, so you do want to set it. And also it does show quite a bit of my pores and things. They look worse than they did when I initially applied it. Now my pores look worse, they look more enlarged, but it's only around my nose and sort of in this area. And also it's definitely heavier. I think it's something you can get used to, but it feels quite a lot heavier than my Revlon Color Stay foundation. You can definitely, or I can definitely tell that I have foundation on my skin. I can feel it. But I presume if I would wear this multiple times, I would just get used to the feeling. Now, with that being said, I am still in love with this foundation. It's very quick to use. It took me less than a minute to blend it all in. It's a lot quicker to blend than my Revlon Color Stay. It's less streaky, just so easy and creamy to apply for me. And the colors are also better, because with Revlon foundation I always struggle to find my right shade. The shade that I use is not quite right for me. It's the right color but not the right undertone, because Revlon foundations tend to be pink or neutral undertones. I have yellow undertones, so I prefer the color of this foundation, but they also do pink, so don't worry if you have cool undertone. This has an SPF 30 in it, which is just perfect for my life. I just really hope you don't get much flashback on photography, on flash photography, because with some products with SPF your face ends up looking whiter with flash photography. I'm not sure about this because I haven't tested it yet, but even so, during the summer this will be perfect foundation because it has that SPF 30. So straight away I love that. I love how it blends, I love the coverage, covers everything, works as a concealer. Okay guys, so that is the end for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you didn't, please like it and subscribe to me if you're not already, and I'll see you next one. Bye!